Okay, can everyone hear me okay? We should be good to go right now. If you guys can give me a yes in chat, that would be greatly appreciated. But I hope you guys are all doing well and I hope you can hear me. And thanks so much to everyone who checked out the tea video. I really do appreciate that. So like I said, we should be good to go. Just give me a thumbs up or a yes, and then we know we're good to go. All right, perfect. Thank you, D-Will. So, you guys can hear me. Hello, D-Will, Kuan, Dolores, Joshua. Don't think I missed anyone. Thank you so much for joining already. I love to see you guys coming in early. And like I said, sorry I'm a little bit late. It's been a busy morning for myself. Foods for Health has been quite busy. I've switched up my workouts a little bit, so they take a little bit longer. Took me a little bit longer to edit the video, to get the good research in there, just so that I could make sure it was the best video possible. And I try to do that for every single one. So I was really happy with how that video came out. I hope you guys are happy with it too. I see Kuan asks, really need this tea, hope it's easy to get. You know what? At most health food markets or health food stores, even regular grocery stores that have sort of a health food aisle or anything like that, I've seen coriander tea bags quite a bit, but I did throw a recipe in there, Kuan, where you can make your own very simply, just with 2 tablespoons, I believe, of coriander seeds. So all you need is coriander seeds and a liter or a couple cups of water, and then boom, you have coriander tea. So I tried to make it as simple as possible, and I always love throwing in the recipes for you guys just to make it as simple as possible, because sometimes it can be a little bit tough to find. So hopefully you guys can find that pretty good. So thanks again for everyone who is watching. So thank you so much for the thumbs up already. We haven't even started. We already have 4 thumbs up. That's amazing to see. Thank you so much for thumbing. You guys have been giving me such good support. I have to say thank you right off the bat. Such amazing support on all the videos. Sometimes I'm just blown away with how many thumbs up are on the videos. Like I'll see 145 thumbs up, hundreds of thumbs up on videos, and I'm just so appreciative, and I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying the videos. It's basically giving me feedback on if you like the videos or not, or if you're finding them useful. So every time I see those thumbs up, I just love it, and it gives me great motivation to keep on making the videos for you guys. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about inflammation. It's something that I like to talk a little bit about in each and every video as much as possible. If that's one of the health benefits, then we'll talk a little bit about inflammation. And let me just give a little brief overview of why inflammation and fighting inflammation, so having anti-inflammatory compounds, even antioxidants thrown in there, are so important. A lot of the times, we're hearing inflammation. It's almost like the silent killer at this point. That's basically what it's been described as, because if we have chronic inflammation, throughout the entire body, doesn't matter, chronic inflammation, it can lead to so many different chronic diseases down the road. So we're talking diabetes, cognitive impairment, heart disease, things like that, even digestive issues. So things like diverticulitis, irritable bowel syndrome, a lot of the times can be caused by having too much inflammation in the body. Another thing, diabetes, arthritis type symptoms, things like that. So I think inflammation and fighting inflammation and what foods can help fight inflammation is a great topic to start on for today. So let's make sure we know why we're talking about inflammation. For one, it's going to have sort of immediate benefits for us, but also those long-term benefits, and I always like to point those out. So if we can get rid of inflammation as fast as possible, then great, because it's going to help with heart health. It's going to help, cognitive function, brain health, digestive health, everything like that. Inflammation, like I said, is known as the silent killer these days. So we really want to make sure that we're limiting inflammation in the body. So a lot of anti-inflammatory compounds, a lot of that has to do and tied in with, high foods that are high in micronutrients, high in antioxidants, things of that nature. And you guys see me point out all the time potent, powerful, unique antioxidants that are going to help with inflammation. You know, they're very anti-inflammatory. They have great anti-inflammatory properties. One of them off the top of my head, quercetin, polyphenols. What's another? Anthocyanidins. Those type of antioxidants, which you don't get from very many foods. They're very unique. And we got to make sure we're eating healthy foods because they're not found in anything else. So leafy green vegetables, a lot of spices will sort of hold those, like turmeric and stuff like that. So that's why I'm so big on anti-inflammatory foods. And you know, we don't want to deal with pain and like joint pain and things like that, stiffness in our joints. That's sort of the short term, I guess, symptoms of inflammation. It can also, I guess, with digestive issues. If we have digestive issues, a lot of it is tied to inflammation. Inflammation throughout the digestive tract, inflammation in the gut, inflammation in the colon, things of that nature. So let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions here. And again, I am drinking coffee, so I apologize if you can hear me sipping the coffee into the mic. So mostly lemons help to fight inflammation and prevent viruses. Well, lemons are definitely one of them, Joshua. Lemons have great anti-inflammatory properties. A lot of it is coming even from the pectin, like the fiber. It's a unique fiber that's found in lemons. All right, that pectin is going to have some pretty good anti-inflammatory benefits because it's going to help with gut health, which is going to help good bacteria to thrive. All right, so that's very powerful when it comes to anti-inflammatory benefits. D-Will, garlic is also another good one. Good. It seems like you guys have been watching my videos or you guys have been looking at this stuff before. So garlic has garlic has allicin in it, which is a nice bioactive compound, which can really help with inflammation, plus sulfur compounds, which are going to help with inflammation as well. So garlic, lemons, things like that. Lemons, you know, they do have detoxifying properties, but even more importantly, you know, they have those high antioxidants, very, very, very high in vitamin C, and most citrus fruits are going to be like that, guys. So if we can, you know, really hammer those antioxidants, we're going to be fighting free radicals because, again, let me just go on a little bit of a rant here. The more free radicals that are in the body, the more damage we're causing to cells. So cellular damage is caused by free radicals. So we want to be able to get rid of those. All right. The more cellular damage that we have, the more oxidative stress that we have and free radicals in the body, the more inflammation that's going to be created. So we really want to focus on foods that are going to attack those free radicals, eliminate them, and then we can reap the rewards and benefits of having those anti-inflammatory compounds. So yes, garlic is another good one. I really like lemons. Lemons is a good one, especially with the vitamin C. All right, the pectin. What else do we have here? Ginger works for powerful inflammation in the brain. Well, gingerol, you know, gingerol is a very powerful bioactive compound found in ginger. Again, not found in really any other foods other than ginger. You know, it's pretty specific to ginger in and of itself. So gingerol, the bioactive compound, and we'll get to other ones and it'll be a very similar explanation. Gingerol has a ton of anti-inflammatory properties to it. All right, so even though it's not called an antioxidant, it has antioxidant properties and also anti-inflammatory properties. So if we're talking about foods to fight inflammation, ginger is one of your better ones as well. All right, and a lot of people will have ginger tea. I know a lot of people, even with arthritis type symptoms, if they have stiffness in joints, you know, pain in joints, things like that, swelling in joints. We can't underestimate swelling. Swelling is one of those really painful and really just hard to live with symptoms of arthritis that can really take a toll on us. So we really want to make sure that we're getting that under control. Under the feet during the night. So I look up one of your videos, potatoes and under the feet can treat inflammation. There has been studies that have shown that with reflexology Kuon, very underrated. It's been used for thousands of years, that we can obtain benefits from putting, you know, certain foods underneath the feet which can help with inflammation if it has the properties to do so. So if it doesn't have anti-inflammatory compounds, or doesn't have antioxidants or micronutrients, then it's not going to help. But it has the potential to help if it has those micronutrients, anti-inflammatories, and antioxidants in it. All right? Let's not kid ourselves. If we're throwing, think of any unhealthy food. If you're putting that in there, it's not going to help. A lot of the things that we see with inflammation, potatoes have the potential, just due to their antibacterial properties, can help fight inflammation. Onions a lot of the times. But again, it can help with inflammation, but a lot of the times you'll see that it's very helpful when it comes to boosting immunity, things like that, fighting colds and flus. Okay. I drank lemon tea yesterday for good inflammation, and it's really good for detox. Okay, so for lemon tea is great. I would even add one for lemon tea. For lemon tea, I like to throw a little bit of honey. Okay, a little bit of honey, raw organic honey, if we can, to any sort of tea, because it's just loaded with antioxidants. It has one of the highest antioxidant capacities out of any really other food choice again. And the nice thing is with raw organic honey, and again, not the pasteurized stuff or stuff that's loaded up with sugar, is that's going to be able to increase antioxidant capacity in our body. So even better. So not only are we getting antioxidants, but we are increasing the antioxidant capacity. So in honey, again, we have to be honest, there's not a ton of different nutrients when it comes to honey. Like, you're not getting your micronutrients, like your vitamin C's, your minerals, your other vitamins, things like that. But it is an antioxidant powerhouse. Okay, so antioxidant powerhouse, really going to help fight that inflammation. So when it comes to lemon and other teas, like a green tea, I love throwing honey in there. Okay, so honey is great. Adding it in there, getting those anti-inflammatory benefits. Mila, nice to see you in chat. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Love to see you in chat. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. Really appreciate it. And like I said, you guys have been crushing it. We're already at 9 thumbs up. We have 25 people in here. Awesome. I'm really happy to see that. Usman, thank you for coming in. Sorry I missed yours. Sometimes I'll miss a couple comments. So if I do miss the comments, I do apologize. Sometimes I'll be answering questions and I'll miss a couple of messages in there. But hello from Nigeria, Usman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I believe I am, Usman. So great to have you in chat as well, Usman. Sorry I missed your comment earlier. And Mila, again, thank you so much. So, and inflammation fighting foods, just so important, especially right now, with just the regular diet. Like, just as D. Will is about to bring it up, the standard American diet. There's so many foods out there that are high in sugar, that are pasteurized, that have preservatives. These are all foods that are going to be causing inflammation throughout the body. So D-Will just took the words right out of my mouth. All right, foods that are instant, because instant foods usually do have those added preservatives. They're high in salt and sodium, just because they want to make it last longer. It's usually canned, things like that. And if it is higher in fat, it's usually saturated fats and things like that. And that's way harder for us to break down for our body. So again, that's going to be some pretty big inflammation causing foods right there. So when it comes to inflammation fighting foods, again, stick to your whole foods. That's why I love fruits and vegetables, and we'll get into spices and other things like that. But there's only one ingredient in an apple. It's an apple. There's only one ingredient when it comes to broccoli. It sounds so simple, all right? But these are the things that we should be thinking about. Bell peppers, all right? Now you got to be a little bit careful with bell peppers and inflammation, all right? There is studies out there that show nightshades. If you have arthritis and inflammation in the joints, the nightshade type foods like your bell peppers, green peppers, things like that can potentially increase the symptoms of arthritis. So I just want to point that out as well. All right, nightshades can be a little bit difficult for people with arthritis type symptoms, especially around the joints and things like that. Now, I had a video up this week, a couple videos in fact. One of the other ones, let's talk about spices though. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about spices, but first I want to make sure I'm not missing any messages here. And let's enjoy the nice picture while we can. We're at 17 minutes. I think our record is like 20 minutes or 22 minutes before we get the no signal. And again, I have no idea why that happens, but it does. And once it happens, again, we'll just keep on rolling along, and I'll keep on answering your questions, and we'll keep on talking about anti-inflammatory foods. So let's not worry about that no signal. That most likely is going to happen. Again, I don't have that program even open right now. It's not even plugged in. So it's so funny that I see it every time. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. I usually use this mixture to treat inflammation. Half lime, 1 garlic, 1 onion, boil egg mixed with potato or taro root for breakfast. What do you think? I think that's good. I think that has a ton of there's so many things that you can do, Kuwan, like with citrus fruit. Again, like I said, citrus fruit, great for anti-inflammatories. Garlic and onion, one and of the same. They're from the same food family. Garlic is going to give you that allicin, and onion is going to give you a lot of bioactive compounds that is going to help with fighting inflammation. A lot of medicinal benefits when it comes to that, and it's also antibacterial. So again, it's going to help with digestion, help with gut health, things like that. With potato or taro root, all right, that's fine. Taro root, I'm a big fan of sweet potato. When it comes to sweet potato, I love sweet potatoes just because of their anti-inflammatory benefits as well. And there's been tons of studies on sweet potato. I haven't read too many on taro root, but I know it's another root vegetable, very similar to potato and sweet potato and all that stuff. So I would imagine that it does have some anti-inflammatory benefits. But when it comes to anti-inflammatories, sweet potato is going to be your go-to. But nothing wrong with taro root. Egg is nice. That's going to give you some nice healthy fats. Going to give you some protein, especially if you're using the whole egg. Remember, all of the nutrients and healthy fats are in the yolk of the egg. All right. Good. Does honey help prevent diabetes? Excellent question, Joshua. So a lot of people will use, I hope that helped with your question, Kuwan. I see no problem with that mixture, buddy. Okay. And I even think it's going to give you some nice anti-inflammatory benefits. Like I said, citrus fruits, very high in vitamin C, great for our immune system. All right, so Joshua, does honey help to prevent diabetes? So a lot of people will use raw organic honey instead of sugar and things like that. We have to remember that honey does have some type of sugar in it as well, okay? So it's a sugar substitute. So it will spike insulin levels. All right, and getting that insulin spike can sort of, it might not always lead to diabetes, but it's not going to help fight or prevent diabetes, that's for sure. So you have to be careful. That's why I always recommend only like half a teaspoon of raw organic honey. We have to remember that it is a sugar substitute. Will it spike blood sugar levels as much as sugar? No, it will not. And studies have shown this, okay? So that's why I really like honey as a sort of natural sweetener as opposed to sugar. But it will spike the blood sugar. So just in my honest opinion, again, as a researcher, someone who's very almost obsessed with nutrition, I don't think I can say it can prevent diabetes. It's not going to be one of those foods that's going to lower blood sugar, or it's a low GI type food, or it's going to help stabilize or regulate blood sugar. It's actually going to create a little bit of a spike, but that's why I say keep it in moderation. Always keep it in moderation. That's the best way to do it. But it will not, and we've seen in studies that it will not spike insulin levels as much as like your regular table sugar, like white sugar and things like that. I love cooking my own fresh food. You live in the interior of Guyana. Okay, very nice, Samuel. Thank you for sharing. And I don't know if this is your first time in chat. I don't believe that it is, but if it is, welcome. And if it's not, I apologize if I miss a couple of your other comments, but I don't believe that it is. I think I've seen you in chat before, so thank you so much. And I'm with you. Fresh food all the way. Fresh food all the way. Those single ingredients as much and as often as we can. If you guys saw my diet, and again, it's not always going to be perfect, but we try to keep it as well balanced and as healthy as we can each and every day. And then it's just going to pay dividends from there. So I'm with you, Samuel. As much fresh food, as much single ingredient foods, whole foods as we can get as possible. So one of my meals is broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, kale, peppers thrown in with brown rice, and then usually like a lean chicken breast or extra lean ground beef, something like that. So with that, you're getting just a ton of different food groups thrown in, but it's all fresh, whole foods. So that would be one of my meals that I eat daily pretty much, and I love it. And then you can use sort of low calorie sauces with that. I would try to stay away from sauces that are high in sugar. Remember, sugar is not our friend when it comes to inflammation. Fruits and vegetables are my favorite. Okay, great. Fruits and vegetables, great. Again, great for inflammation. And the fruits and vegetables, use those different colors, guys, especially purple. That's why I really like beets, eggplant, your grapes. They have those different types of antioxidants in it. So you're really powerful with anthocyanins. All right, very powerful anti-inflammatory, which is great for eliminating inflammation. So excellent. Fruits and vegetables, keep those colors coming along. Beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbal tea. Yep, herbal tea is great. We just talked about that in a video today. Great for anti-inflammatory benefits. And then nuts and seeds, can also cause a little bit. It just depends which ones. Walnuts are great anti-inflammatories. Seeds, chia seeds, hemp hearts, things like that. Those can help fight inflammation as well. In Guyana, fresh foods are accessible. You're very lucky. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. It's so nice to learn from different cultures and everything, what the diet's like there. Now let's talk a little bit about spices, guys, and just see what you guys think with that. One of the best anti-inflammatory foods that we can eat, and it's backed up by thousands of studies at this point, is turmeric. All right, I know you guys have probably seen, if you've been watching my videos for a little bit, then you know how much I love turmeric. I actually have turmeric every single day. You can have it a bunch of different ways. Some people will throw it into water. Some people will throw it into the recipes. I throw it into a smoothie. All right, and you don't need much. Sometimes I'll use less than a teaspoon. All right, as long as you're eating it consistently, you're going to get the benefits. You don't need to be using a whole tablespoon. In fact, I think that's just a little bit too much sometimes. Sometimes I'll recommend a tablespoon, but over the course of more than one meal. All right, so people get confused sometimes in the videos if I say a tablespoon. Like I know saffron, a lot of people will comment on saffron videos. If I say like a tea video and I say like a tablespoon or two of saffron, I'm not talking about 1 cup of saffron. I'm talking about multiple cups that can last for days. So I know that even for turmeric, we don't need a full tablespoon of turmeric. Like I said, I wouldn't say to you guys something that I'm not doing. So I'm using about half a teaspoon. It will sort of be a heaping half a teaspoon, so maybe a little bit closer to a teaspoon, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon, but I'll have it every single day, and it's great for inflammation. The reason why, one of the best bioactive compounds that's found in turmeric is curcumin, and that's where the studies and the benefits really show. So curcumin is one of the best anti-inflammatory compounds out there. So turmeric's been studied. I think, like I said, there's been thousands of studies when it comes to turmeric. So spices cannot be underrated. Turmeric is a great one. Very anti-inflammatory. Tons of antioxidants. And again, turmeric is another one that's going to increase antioxidant capacity in our body. And it's just loaded not only with nutrients, but also with those antioxidants and those unique potent antioxidants that we want. So one of them being curcumin. You're not going to find curcumin in a ton of different foods, guys, and curcumin is one of your best anti-inflammatory foods. And like Joshua is saying right now, there's different ways that you can consume turmeric as a spice. I know it's really important in different cuisines in certain areas of the world, but again, I've never heard of anyone putting it on tuna before, but I think that's awesome. Put it on tuna. Some people will throw it in rice. Sometimes I'll throw it in quinoa. But again, the easiest for me is either like a turmeric tea, which I drink almost every single day. Not every day, I'll be honest, but I will have the whole spice, so like a teaspoon of turmeric spice thrown into a smoothie every single day. And so that's not going to change. So that anti-inflammatory, especially because I'm working out a lot, and when you're working out a lot, you want to make sure that you're getting those anti-inflammatory foods, helping with the recovery. And even if you're not working out, again, very beneficial. Because remember, we talked about at the very beginning of this stream, the more inflammation that we have, say we're dealing with chronic disease, over time, that's really going to affect our overall health. Again, the silent killer, inflammation throughout the body, heart disease, cognitive impairment, a lot of digestive issues caused by inflammation, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut syndrome, diverticulitis, a lot of times can be caused or could be caused by inflammation throughout the body. And again, stiffness in the joints, just a ton of different things that inflammation can lead to that we want to try to prevent. So one of my favorite spices is turmeric. Another good one and often overlooked is just cinnamon. Literally, cinnamon is one of the best anti-inflammatories because it is loaded with antioxidants. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember the active compound in cinnamon. It sounds very close to cinnamon, so that's why it's kind of messing me up a little bit. It's almost like a cinnamol or something like that. If anyone knows it in chat, that'd be awesome if you could throw it in. But cinnamon has its own active bioactive compounds as well. That's very good for fighting inflammation. So again, I'll have cinnamon in my smoothie every single day. And again, not too much, less than a teaspoon. And that's all you need. Again, if you're having it consistently, you don't need to overdo it. You're just wasting money at that point, I think. All right, Joshua, have a good one, buddy. Thank you so much for popping in here. Can you put some recipes on your site with the use of turmeric, please? I only use, I had for turmeric is for skincare. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I could put up some turmeric recipes. Now you'll find turmeric tea. You'll also find, like D Will, if you look up turmeric on the site, you'll see turmeric mixed with a bunch of different foods. You'll see turmeric tea, you'll see turmeric and honey, turmeric and cinnamon, things like that. So, you don't need to make extravagant big meals to get turmeric in. You can just mix them and literally put it in with water. So for the recipes, that's just how I do it. So there's not a ton of recipes that come off the top of my head where we're using turmeric. I know in a lot of Indian cuisines, and I work with clients that are from India, they use turmeric quite a bit, and we're always talking about turmeric and the benefits of turmeric. So look up those videos. That's a nice starting point, I think, for you. Even just like a turmeric tea, very simple. Even a smoothie if you put it in there. Even just throwing it in water and drinking it. As long as you're getting it, then you're going to reap the rewards and the benefits of it. I take turmeric with apple cider vinegar and water. Okay, Kaz, very nice. Thanks for throwing that in there. Man, how do you find drinking that? Do you have to kind of chug it all at once? Because that would be quite the taste, I can imagine, especially depending on how much of each of those ingredients you're throwing in there. But, if you can kind of throw it back, then, that's another good way of doing it. I haven't done a video, I don't think, on turmeric and apple cider vinegar, but sounds interesting. I know apple cider vinegar is pretty acidic. Like I said, guys, apple cider in the last stream, apple cider vinegar was one of those foods that kind of came and went. When I started the channel about 7, 8 years ago, apple cider vinegar was like the craze. Everyone was talking about apple cider vinegar. You know, if you want to lose belly fat, yeah, you chug it. I thought so, Kaz. I would do the same thing, my friend. Trust me, I've tried both. And having them together, I would definitely be chugging it as well. It's not going to be something that I sip like a coffee, so good for you. Yeah, you get used to it, right? I've had certain foods that, you know, don't taste great in themselves, or, you know, are very grainy, things like that are very hard to get down, but you do get used to it. So, but I think I would still be chugging almost the turmeric and the apple cider vinegar. It's almost like a shot of it. And again, if you're doing that, you don't need much of each. You definitely don't need much of each. Especially if you're doing it every single day. Like a tablespoon of turmeric in with apple cider vinegar, I think would be too much, and that's my own opinion. Just based on science and stuff that I've read, you just don't need that much turmeric to reap the rewards. You would just almost be wasting turmeric or overdoing it with the turmeric at that point. But I think you know that already. Does turmeric have any flavor? Yes, it certainly does, and I think that's why it's added to a lot of cuisines, especially talking with the one client that I have from India. You know, it's a very strong flavor, D-Will. So if you add it to, say, like stir fries, rice meals, things like that, even meats, curries, I believe, use a lot of turmeric, stuff like that, you really get that taste. When I add it to my smoothies, I have so many different, I almost make like a super smoothie, I like to call it. It's got like spinach, blueberries, flax seeds, a banana, oatmeal, things like that. Remember, you guys don't need to do this. This is my own diet. I count macros, so I'm following all the how many calories I'm eating a day. I think I said blueberries, you know, spinach, kale, a little bit of protein powder, and man, cinnamon. That's how I get my cinnamon most of the days into the smoothie. I'll throw a little bit of camu in there for some vitamin C. But let me tell you, the main thing that I am tasting, and it's subtle. It is quite subtle, but one of the main things that I'm tasting, other than the banana, is turmeric. And again, I'm putting about half a teaspoon in each time, D-Will. So turmeric does have quite a strong flavor to it. And again, I think that's why it's used in a lot of different recipes to kind of enhance the flavor of it. Not only, and especially if you're cooking with it, like if you're just using the spice, not so much, but if you're cooking with it, then it can also have quite the smell to it as well. So flavor and smell wise, you can definitely, if someone's using turmeric, you can definitely tell. Yeah, good for you, Kaz. So exactly, just a dash, that's all you need. Tons of bioactive compounds in there. Tons of health promoting. And again, the reason why we're talking about turmeric right off the beginning, one of your best anti-inflammatory foods. And they've done, I'm not going to get too much into like the medicines versus your traditional medicine versus like over-the-counter stuff versus turmeric, but there's been studies where they've compared the two. And then I think you guys know where I'm going with it. Turmeric's been very successful with helping inflammation and even sort of arthritis symptoms, which is based off a lot of the times on inflammation. So yeah, I think it's just one of the best. Cumin as well. Cumin very underrated, and like I said, cinnamon also very underrated when it comes to inflammation and fighting those long-term chronic diseases, guys. Thanks so much. It looks like we hit 20 thumbs up. You guys are crushing it right now. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for the support. You guys are amazing. It really motivates me to continue these live streams, just because I know you guys are enjoying them, and it really helps me motivate me to keep making the videos. They'll keep coming, but it's always nice to know that you guys are enjoying the videos as well. So thank you for that. Now let's talk a little bit about, we have foods to fight inflammation. Let's talk a little bit about our inflammation causing foods, okay? So some of the things we might want to stay away from. One of the big ones is sugar. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but let's expand on that a little bit. Sugar is going to be one of your most inflammatory foods that you can eat. So sweets, things like that, you know, the classic kind of examples like donuts or cake or cookies and things like that, tons of inflammation is going to be caused by that. Not only throughout the body, but big time throughout our digestive system. I don't know if you guys are like me, but if I eat sweets or sugar, because I don't do it very often, the next day my energy levels are zapped. I feel very dehydrated, and I just feel bad overall. And a lot of that time, maybe one meal with sugar isn't going to cause a ton of inflammation. It will in the short term cause it, but if you're eating sugar for, like, let's say months or years and things like that, that inflammation is just accumulating, and then that's how we get chronic inflammation. So sugar is one of the worst things for inflammation, and one of the things we want to stay away from if we're trying to get rid of inflammation or fight inflammation. So sugar, definitely want to stay away from. And we're talking about refined sugar, guys. We're not talking about like fructose from fruit or anything like that. Will that cause inflammation? Not really. We're getting good nutrients and stuff like that from that type of foods. But refined sugar, so your the stuff that you'll find on tables, or just your refined white sugar, that's going to be more inflammatory than a lot of other things. So sugar, big one. All right, another big one out there. And thanks for hitting that thumbs up, guys. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Another big one out there, guys. Yes, it is true. We've seen enough studies on it. Alcohol. Okay, so a lot of people, there's that big craze with having the glass of red wine. Sorry, just as I drink a little bit of coffee. There was the study with the red wine and the benefits of having a glass of red wine. Now, we're seeing that in moderation, it can potentially have those benefits still. Less and less, just because of it's a red wine, so there's resveratrol in it, okay? But alcohol is going to cause inflammation throughout the body. It just is, okay? And a lot of the times it's through the digestive tract. Again, if you are going to have alcohol, try your best to keep it in moderation. But even in moderation, it is going to be creating inflammation throughout the body, especially throughout the digestive system. So the digestive tract, stomach, intestines, colon, things like that. And it can even, lead to cognitive impairment that they're finding. So a lot of studies are now showing that the inflammation is really leading to a lot of cognitive ailments out there, and alcohol is going to contribute to that because it's contributing to inflammation. Heart disease, all right? So a lot of heavy drinkers, all right, are having problems with their heart, all right? It's not just a liver thing, all right? It's actually the alcohol that's causing it. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm not missing your comments here, D. Will. But alcohol is definitely another one. So sugar and alcohol, all right, very inflammatory. It's the foods that are going to make us feel bad the next day. And just imagine if you're drinking often or over drinking, drinking in excess, or eating sugary foods every single day. Again, that inflammation is just going to compound onto itself, and then that's when we can run into problems with chronic inflammation. And then down the road, that's when it's going to really exacerbate itself. So those different diseases like we talked about, diabetes, bigger risk of diabetes, bigger risk of heart disease, especially with drinkers, even sugar. Sugar is going to cause damage to the cardiovascular system. All right, free radicals love sugar. Loads of sugar, and loads of sugar. There's sugar alcohols, all right? People don't realize that. It's a good point, D-Will, but there is sugar alcohols out there as well. All right, so again, alcohol, just something you want to keep in moderation as best you can, okay? A book I was reading referred to sugar as a drug, yes. And it's interesting you say that, D-Will. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Very interesting. I won't say the drug. Yep, I know exactly what drug you're thinking of. And with the one that you're typing out there, D-Will, we've seen studies now that drug and sugar light up the exact same areas of the brain, okay? So the exact same areas that, we get that good feeling from what you're mentioning there, and from sugar, it's lighting up the exact same things in our brain. Basically, it's a dopamine It's a dopamine fix, right? Sugar is the exact same thing. So if we're using drugs, or say for instance, or alcohol, we're trying to feel better. It's a dopamine fix that we're trying to find here. But it's quite interesting when you see the studies and you see the brain scans. A lot of these drugs, sugar is lighting up the exact same thing. So it's having the exact same effect, or very similar effects, we should say, to a lot of drugs. And you know what? If you have someone that's been eating sugar, say they have their morning donut and then they have their nighttime sweets, you try taking those away from them, and it can be just as hard as taking away, some sort of drug or alcohol and things like that if they're dependent on that type of stuff. Sugar is very addicting, and it can definitely, the funny thing is, guys, that there is sugar withdrawal symptoms. All right, so it makes sense that you're saying that, D. Will, and thank you for bringing that up. So I think that's a great point. So sugar is lighting up the same areas of the brain as certain drugs. We go through sugar withdrawals, and again, like I said, that person with the morning, I've had clients that would have their morning donut and their morning double-double. Double-double just means cream, 2 creams, and 2 sugars in their coffee. Getting them to break that habit, almost next to impossible, because they are getting that morning fix, that dopamine drop. All right, they're getting that instant gratification from getting that sugar, from getting those foods that's very high in sugar. Like you're basically on a double-double. It's like a milkshake. I'll be honest, I've had them on cheat meals, and I've had one double-double probably in the last 4 years. And it's almost hard for me to drink. Like in this coffee right now is just a little bit of 2% milk. That's it. And I'll usually drink it black. But yeah, that's interesting, D. Will. There's a lot of similarities between sugar and different sort of drugs. So thank you for that point. Hey, Deborah, good to see you in chat. Hope you're doing well. Marilyn, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much for joining chat as well. So Deborah, Marilyn, thank you so much. Is honey bad for you? Well, it sort of depends what honey that you're eating and how much, okay? Honey on its own, like if you're eating raw organic honey, Marilyn, is it Marlin or Marilyn? I thought Marilyn usually has an I, but I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. If I am, just let me know. But raw organic honey, in moderation, is one of the better foods that you can eat. To be honest with you, as long as you're not overdoing it. We talked about honey a little bit earlier, but honey can actually be quite anti-inflammatory in and of itself. Now, it's devoid of nutrients. Again, we'll just be honest. Honey gets a lot of praise, but it doesn't have a ton of nutrients in it. Maybe phytonutrients and things like that. But the way that honey can really help with inflammation is its antioxidants. All right, it's just loaded with different types of potent, powerful, unique antioxidants. And the great thing, and what we were mentioning before, is honey has the ability to increase your antioxidant capacity in the body, which is great. All right, so honey, is it bad for you? I would keep it in moderation. All right, moderation, because again, honey is a sugar substitute. It's going to spike insulin. There is sugar in it, a different type of sugar, right? So I believe it's glucose, but again, if you're having too much, it's going to actually cause a little bit of inflammation. Someone asked if it can help with diabetes. It's very similar. If you're overdoing it, it's very similar to just regular old refined sugar. Will it, and like I was saying, will it increase blood sugar levels as much as sugar? No, but it still will increase blood sugar levels. So again, try to get raw organic if you can, and then keep it in moderation. I always say 1 teaspoon is enough, no more than a tablespoon. And don't get the pasteurized stuff, the stuff that has the added sugar into it. If you do that, there's really no benefit to the honey. You lose a lot of the benefits, because once you do that, you take away the antioxidants, and that's the stuff that we want from it. And the antibacterial as well. Honey is very antibacterial, antimicrobial, a lot of benefits with that as well. And that can help with inflammation too. We can't underestimate that type of stuff also, because that's going to help with gut health. Good, Deborah. I'm glad to hear that. So great question. Thank you for the honey question. That's awesome. Deborah, great. I'm very happy to hear you're having a great day. And I'm glad you can make it in. Mystical, thank you so much for joining. You guys are doing great today. Already at 30 likes. Can't believe it. Awesome. Asking awesome questions. Love it. All right. I think inflammation is one of the most important things that we can talk about because, like I said, it's the silent killer and it's leading to so many different health problems, chronic diseases, things down the road that are going to catch up to us. So if we can sort of, prevent it today, limit it today, it's only going to pay dividends later on down the road. Stop us from, maybe reduce the risk of heart disease, reduce the risk of cognitive ailment, help with digestion, not have to deal with, less nutrient uptake or irritable bowel syndrome, things like that. So I think inflammation is great. Just make sure we're eating the right foods for it. And we've been going over that a ton. I would see people eating a chocolate bar on the way to work in the mornings and might start. Yes, I would see the same thing, D-Will. Exactly. They're getting their morning fix. So very similar, like a chocolate bar or a donut, that morning fix. You know what I mean, guys? That morning fix of sugar that they just can't help themselves from breaking free, because it almost is very similar to a drug. And if you're going through that right now, I'm not judging or anything like that. I just want to bring that information out to you guys. So, if you are having that morning donut, just keep in mind, maybe we might want to cut back a little bit because that sugar is sort of very counterintuitive, especially when it comes to inflammation. Also, just with all the other things, the sugar's causing inflammation, better chance of diabetes. We're going to store those carbohydrates as fat, so obesity can be an issue and stuff like that. So that's a great point, D-Will. I'm really glad you brought that up. Kuan, my phone current went off. Well, welcome back, Kuan. If your phone's back on, that's awesome. I used the raw organic honey from the health food store. Okay, great. And again, I hope it's Marilyn. I'm not pronouncing the name wrong. So my pleasure. Again, just keep using that raw organic honey. Stay away from the pasteurized stuff. Sounds like you're doing a great job already. And just keep it in moderation. So excellent job. Keep with that raw organic honey. One of my favorite. I've done tons of honey videos. I haven't done them in a while. I think I kind of got burnt out on doing honey videos, I think, a little bit. So I'll probably make a few more because there is some interesting ones out there where I'm finding studies with a few interesting mixtures and also adding them to, like I would always make videos adding them to one other ingredient, keeping it simple, but there's multiple ingredients that you can add to, like let's say for instance lemon and turmeric. So instead of just adding honey into lemon water, add it into lemon turmeric tea, things of that nature, or turmeric green tea. All right, tons of benefits out there, and so I might want to get that out there in some videos in the near future. So thank you for the question. And again, like I said, honey is great for inflammation, tons of antioxidants. We just don't want to overdo it. So my pleasure. Thank you for asking the question. Well, with the drug question, Kuwan, I usually don't get into too much with the drug type questions. I try to keep it to natural foods and things like that. I think that might be a little bit better question for like a medical practitioner and things like that, because I do know that type of stuff will sort of help with pain or relief from pain and stuff like that. Is it anti-inflammatory? I don't know. I would choose whole foods over that, to be honest with you. I think that's more of a quick fix, more so to pain rather than inflammation. So if you don't know what we're talking about here, guys, it can be as much as like a painkiller or Tylenol. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kuwan, but just from what I've read, those are seen. I think Tylenol is maybe the more common one. But I think that's more of a quick fix than actually dealing with inflammation in and of itself. But the drug type questions, I'll save for the medical practitioners. But I will say I kind of see it more as a quick fix than actually dealing with the inflammation in and of itself. Just like if you're taking an Advil, say you had pain, maybe even like arthritis type symptoms, and you had a lot of stiffness in the joints and things like that, and the joints were sore, and you took an Advil, all right, you're putting a Band-Aid on it for a little bit, but eventually that Band-Aid's got to come off. It only works for a few hours, and you didn't do anything to fix the inflammation. You sort of just masked it for a little bit. So I hope that helps answer your question. Deborah, since watching your channel, I've been able to make... All right, that's great. Well, that's one of my main priorities, Deborah, so that is amazing to hear. I'm so glad that you've been able to make health changes, and I'm glad that you're finding the videos useful. Again, that's the main reason why I'm doing it. Sorry, I'm just drinking some coffee. Again, apologize. I'm trying to drink away from the mic, but if you can hear that, I do apologize. But I'm very happy that you're able to make the health changes. And you know what? You have to give yourself credit in that too, Deborah. You know, I'm putting the information out there for you guys, but it's you guys who are making the changes. So good for you. That's awesome, Deborah. I love that. So never underestimate yourself as well. But that's awesome. I'm glad that, you know, maybe if I'm the starting point, or, you know, give out some, you know, tips or tidbits and tricks, different types of healthy foods, it is at the end of the day yourself that are making those changes. So congratulations, Deborah. That's awesome to hear. What do tomatoes do since it contains lycopene? Okay, lycopene, that's a great question. So I'm a big fan of tomatoes. To be honest, I eat tomatoes every single day. Tomatoes can have a little bit of a different effect on different people. Some people don't react well to tomatoes. Other people do. In fact, sometimes tomatoes can actually cause inflammation. But we do know that tomatoes are a great source of lycopene, and lycopene does have sort of the ability to reduce inflammation. But again, just depending on you know, how we react to lycopene and things like that. It's the same as nightshades. But when we say lycopene, guys, it's important that we make this connection. Lycopene has antioxidant properties. So it's a good question that Kuan is bringing up, because I've been talking and spouting off about the benefits of antioxidants when it comes to dealing with inflammation and reducing inflammation. But lycopene at the end of the day has antioxidant properties. So I would say if you're dealing with tomatoes just fine, I think lycopene can definitely help with inflammation. It has the possibility to, but there are some people who just don't do well with tomatoes, I'll be honest. And it can kind of lead to even more inflammation, and it just has to do with the digestion of it. They have trouble digesting tomatoes and things like that. They maybe find it a little acidic for themselves. It's the same thing with citrus fruits. Some people do well with citrus fruits, some don't. But yes, we should note that lycopene is an antioxidant, and some consider it a powerful antioxidant. So I think overall, yes, it can be good for inflammation, and it can be anti-inflammatory. So I think at the end of the day, I would say yes, but it's not going to be the same for everyone. But I love tomatoes. I eat tomatoes every single day. I love getting the lycopene in it. I use it as an antioxidant, Kuwan. So I'd be lying if I said that it can't treat inflammation, because it certainly can. And you'll find it in a lot of anti-inflammatory food lists, that's for sure. I've done quite a few videos on inflammation, and you see foods high in lycopene up there all the time. And it's not just tomatoes, it's those red foods. So I think guavas would be included in that, and watermelon would be included in that. So not just tomatoes, but anything that contains lycopene. Again, it's going to be more of those red. Doesn't matter if it's a vegetable, doesn't matter if it's a fruit, anything with that. Any word that has an itis and would indicate inflammation. Bronchitis, is that normally a definition of inflammation? I never heard of that. Do you will, to be honest? I'm not 100% sure. Bronchitis, tonsillitis. I know tonsillitis might have to deal with inflammation, but I've never heard that sort of definition before. with any of the research I've done. Again, that might be more for a medical practitioner, but yeah, itis usually is not connected to anything positive. So, is it connected directly to inflammation? I cannot answer that with certainty, so I apologize. Eat vegetables and fruit and less meat. Some tomatoes contain extras. So, dark purple ones. Yes, you know what? Some tomatoes can contain a little bit of, that's a great point, Mystical. Some can contain a little bit more ripe tomatoes. Again, it's sort of the red, so if you're eating like green tomatoes, less ripe, then you're not going to be getting the benefits of lycopene, that's for sure. It's the same thing almost like sometimes with the bananas, not directly having to do with lycopene, but just some of the nutrients and some of the starches and stuff like that. The more ripe fruits get or foods get, the different benefits we get from that. Hey, no problem, Kuan, my pleasure. Meat can cause a little bit of, that's another interesting one. We were going over foods that can cause inflammation. Meat can certainly be one, especially like your cold cuts, the things that are high in nitrates. So that not so healthy meats. So I'm not talking here about ordinary chicken breasts. I'm talking about those almost like sandwich meats, Mystical. You might be on the same wavelength as me right now. But they can be very inflammatory, and the reason why, some of the stuff that we talked a little bit about before, but we didn't touch on this exact point, is they're very high in nitrates, preservatives, and sodium. Sodium's going to be a huge one for inflammation. And I don't know about you guys, but if I eat really high salty, sodium high foods, it's the same thing with sugar for me. I do not feel well the next day, so I try to stay away from it as much as possible. So that's a great point. It can cause red meat, especially with some people, especially if they don't have it a lot. Meat can cause a little bit of inflammation. So just again, in moderation, and try to keep it as lean as possible, because if you're having a ton of saturated fat and trans fat, then you're going to probably increase the risk of inflammation throughout the body. It's very hard. It's hard for our digestive system to break down. So that's another thing that we have to keep in mind. Sorry, I'm just trying to read the messages here, guys. Man, I can't believe you guys are killing it. 39 thumbs up. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What about pineapple and bromelain? That's a great question. So we know the benefits of digestion when it comes to bromelain, usually found in pineapple. I can't think of any other foods off the top of my head, but pineapple is one of the best sources of bromelain. And yes, from the studies that I have read, Kuwan, that bromelain does have anti-inflammatory effects, and it's hard for me to pronounce, but the same thing as almost like Tylenol. It can be an effective treatment for pain and things like that, but I don't get too much into that. I think that's why I'm even having trouble pronouncing it. I don't get too much into sort of the effectiveness of like dealing with pain and that sort of stuff. But bromelain can help with swelling, those arthritis symptoms like we were talking about before, stiffness, swelling, pain, anything like that. So we've seen studies, and I remember reading studies on bromelain in general that show that it is quite anti-inflammatory. And like I was saying, lycopene is found on a lot of anti-inflammatory food lists. You'll see foods high in bromelain, which is usually like pineapple. That's the only one I can think off the top of my head for some reason. Bromelain does have very good anti-inflammatory effects, and some will say like a little bit of pain relief. I'm not 100% sure like that. I haven't read anything on that, but I know it can be anti-inflammatory. I know in my pineapple videos, I've talked a little bit about the anti-inflammatory benefits of it, and I know it can definitely help with digestion. And again, it's so funny though. I don't eat a lot of pineapple. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't eat a ton of pineapple. Again, it's just a little bit too sugary for me. I'm really sensitive to sugar. Not that pineapple is bad. Again, just because I'm not eating it, I'm not saying that it's bad to eat. Just because it's not good for me doesn't mean it's not good for you guys. So, um, dark leafy green vegetables also have vitamin K. Yes, they're very high in vitamin K. Very high. There's some interesting foods out there that are high in vitamin K, but yeah, you throw some kale in there, you throw some spinach, you throw broccoli in there, you're gonna get a ton of vitamin K, a ton of vitamin K. That's probably one of the best sources of it, to be honest with you. But dark leafy green vegetables are almost good for anything mystical, so that's nice that you're bringing it up with vitamin K. But really, with any dark leafy green vegetable, you can't go wrong when it comes to those types of food choices. There's some of my favorite ones. I try to get broccoli in every day. I usually do a pretty good job of it. Spinach and kale I get in every day. Again, I'll add it into stir fries. I'm sort of lucky because I don't mind it raw, and I'm talking about broccoli. I used to eat kale raw. I don't really too much anymore, and spinach. I used to put it in salads and stuff like that. Not that I don't like it. I just like throwing it in stir fries more so right now. It's just much easier for me to eat, and it's more enjoyable for me to eat as well. The way meats are treated with antibiotics will cause inflammation. Interesting, D. Will. Never heard of that, but that's interesting to hear. Antibiotics, again, with the whole medical side of the antibiotics and things like that, antibiotics are generally usually going to kill good bacteria in the body anyway, so, that could have an effect on inflammation. You're going to have more bad bacteria than good bacteria, that's for sure, if you are on antibiotics. Deborah, as am I. I can't tolerate sugar either. Yeah, we must be very similar. And like for sugar, I know with pineapple, we're talking about fructose. We're not talking about normal, refined sugar or anything like that. But for some reason, it has the exact same effect on me, I will say. And once, if you know what me and Deborah are sort of referring to, maybe you guys, maybe other people can relate to it, but man, it really zaps you. Like any sugar, I can't think of the last time I had even fruit juice. If I drink fruit juice or anything like that, then man, I am not feeling good. So the only things that I drink are literally coffee, green tea, turmeric tea, and water. And it's not a ton of coffee. I'll have one in the morning. I'm kind of having my midday coffee right now. And then that's about it. But what I drink is pretty standard. I guess sardines can also treat inflammation. So it can, omega-3. That's what I was saying in my walnut video. That's a good point, Kuan. Omega-3s can help with inflammation. Like with the walnuts. In the walnuts video, we talked a little bit about inflammation and the omega-3 fatty acids and the omega-6 fatty acids. And I do believe, off the top of my head too, omega-3s can be very good for joint pain. Actually, not even off the top of my head. I pretty much know that for certain. If you're wanting to reduce joint pain and things like that, then omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil are great for that. The walnuts have sort of the plant-based omega-3s. I think they have a different name. I can't remember off the top of my head. But a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Geez, I wish I remembered the name. But a little bit different from like your fish oil omega-3 fatty acids and things like that. But either way, both are going to be great, especially for inflammation and things like that. Numerous studies on the ability to help with joint pain, joint swelling, joint stiffness with omega-3. That's why fish oil is so popular, guys. I've worked with a ton of clients who've had, very similar to arthritis type symptoms and a lot of joint pain. And joint pain is horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And it's really important to make sure that we're on top of joint pain, because joint pain can only get worse as we get older, especially if we're not dealing with it. It can get better, trust me, if we're eating the proper diet. If we're taking if we're eating the right foods, the right supplements, things like that, getting in our nutrients, then it can certainly help. But if we're not, and we're having like those sugary foods, high in salt, alcohol, a lot of red meats or nitrates, sandwich meats, things like that, then you're putting yourself at risk for having quite a bit of pain and losing a lot of mobility, to be honest with you. Once we have that sort of arthritis, those arthritis type symptoms, and once they get bad enough, then you're losing a ton of mobility, and it's usually in the hands, to be honest. You see it a lot in the hands. Omega-6 fatty acids, yes, also very good. I think we talked a little bit about the ratio, kind of like a 4-to-1 ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. But yeah, walnuts too, omega-6 fatty acids. And then there's even omega-9 fatty acids too. Usually if I'm getting omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9, I'm usually using that as a supplement. Some type of oil that I'll purchase as a supplement. Just easier for me to get them all that way. And even more importantly, I can keep the calories in check. Because to get all those different fatty acids, sometimes the calories can start to build up. So it's really nice if, at least for me, if I have a supplement I can go to and I know how much of each I'm getting. If I know how much of each, then I can count calories from there. So absolutely. Fungal infections. All right, interesting. So there's a lot of antifungal foods out there. Some of the more ones that pop off up the top of my head, garlic would be a good one. Garlic would be a good one. Onions would be a good one because both of those have what's the word? Antibacterial, antifungal properties to them. Like garlic in and of itself and onions in and of itself have antifungal properties. So not only antibacterial, but also antifungal. All right, so also antifungal. All right, you're gonna want to hit up your probiotics. So foods that are high in probiotics, very good for fighting fungal infections. All right, so we have garlic, we have probiotics, which are very helpful. I know some people who dealing with fungal infections, this might be something you want to look into, but oil of oregano, and they would take that mostly for skin. If they're dealing with skin type issues because of fungal infection, so maybe oil of oregano. But off the top of my head, garlic can really help. Turmeric's even going to help because it has some pretty decent antibacterial and antifungal properties. Onions are really underrated. I think onions are great also. And then garlic. And then probiotics are huge. Probiotics are big. So have like your yogurts, your plain yogurts that have active bacterial cultures in them, moises, and then that's really going to help. That can have the potential to help with fungal infections. But again, just like we were talking about before with staying away from certain foods for inflammation, you're going to want to stay away from sugar. You're going to want to stay away from alcohol if you're dealing with those fungal infections. But then again, even having things like very high nutrient dense foods can really help with it too. Because if you're high in vitamin C, boosting your immune system, it's going to help fight those infections as well. But primarily, if you're trying to fight fungal infections, go with your garlic. I think even grapefruit might have some anti-inflammatory benefits to it. I know a lot of people will eat that right in the morning. And then your probiotics and fermented foods. Let's not forget about those too. So fermented foods. I did a video on fermented garlic. Very antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial benefits to that as well. Off topic. Do you ever take on online clients? That's interesting, Deborah. I do. I do that. So that's something that we can, if you want to discuss more. When it comes to online clients, I'm very, very hands-on. So that would be a big discussion that we would have to have, Deborah. And just what you're looking for and if we're a good fit and things like that. It's something that I'm getting more and more into, not only in the nutrition aspect, but working out aspect. I've been in sort of the industry for a number of years now, dealing with that. So very interesting, Deborah. If you are interested in that, send me a message or, get a hold of me, and we can definitely talk about that more and more, or even just having a chat, like a nice consultation, and see what you're looking for exactly. But the online clients and things like that, that is something that of course I am moving more and more into, just as the lockdown kind of was happening and things like that. So it definitely is something. So good probiotics, Deborah. A couple of the ones, I like a probiotic supplement, and you don't have to take a probiotic supplement, but it makes sure I get all my probiotic needs. So good probiotics would be something like your yogurts. Okay, yogurts are an easy way to get probiotics. And again, I would try to get the no sugar. No sugar added, but I would say yogurt is probably one of your best sources of probiotics. Tons of active and live cultures in there. Another one, sauerkraut is going to be a nice probiotic. I know kimchi, I've done some videos on, which is a nice probiotic. There's a nice, almost tea, it's like a drink, it's called kombucha. That's a nice probiotic as well. I would say that's a good start. I think if you're having like kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, even kefir, Kefir, kefir is a really nice probiotic. So those are all really good probiotics, and again, going to help with inflammation. So oregano essential oil is good for fungal. Yes, Deborah, exactly. All right, what types of foods? Sorry, teacher, I missed. See, sometimes I miss, guys. I apologize for that. Sometimes I'll kind of get on a roll. Cinnamon Kuan for fighting antifungal. It can have antifungal, a lot of antibacterial when it comes to cinnamon. But again, antifungal properties in cinnamon. That's why I think cinnamon is very underrated. Very underrated. And again, I take cinnamon every day, so I kind of put my money where my mouth is with that. And same thing with turmeric and all these other green vegetables that we're talking about. What types of foods would be beneficial for mast cell disease, especially if one is allergic to a lot of foods? Teacher, that's a very, very good question. I apologize that I can't really answer that in this live chat. That's going to be a question that you're going to want to ask your medical practitioner. I just don't feel comfortable sort of diving down into mast cell disease and different diseases and things like that. Again, for things like that, you're going to want to avoid alcohol. You're going to want to avoid different types of foods. Dairy, I know, might be one that can make that worse. Remember how we were talking about tomatoes? I think tomatoes could possibly make that worse as well. So I do apologize. I don't want to go too in depth into it. I think that's a good one for a medical practitioner. But those are some of the ones that I would maybe try to stay away from. But my heart goes out to you living with that mast cell. So it can really affect gut health and everything else. And there's just a ton with like toxins and allergies and stuff like that. But, speak with your medical practitioner. It's very complex, absolutely. And not only, is there foods that can help it, but there are definitely foods that you want to stay away from. So I hope that helped in a little bit, like stay away from your sugars, stay away from like alcohols, as you probably already know. You're going to want to eat foods that are really good for gut health, I think a low histamine diet is good, but again, I don't want to get too much into it. Again, that might be a little bit better for your medical practitioner teacher. Thank you for the question, though. Okay, looks like we're rolling up here. Oil oregano, I believe you can. I've never drank it, but I believe that there is sort of like it can come in a bottle and a dropper, and then people take it like that. They put it on their tongue and then they take it like that, Moises. Again, I never had oil of oregano, so, but I do believe that it kind of can come in those bottles where you kind of have the eyedropper, and you can take it that way. Thank you, man. I don't know if it's a fungal infection, but I have a strong gut feeling this. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you got to go with your gut, no pun intended. And if you are, those are some foods that we were talking about, Moises. But again, speak with your medical practitioner if there's some things that you're dealing with again, and you're not seeing much of a change. Oh, my pleasure, Deborah. Always love answering the questions. Hey, Tammy, good to see you in chat. Man, I'm way behind. I'm scrolling up. I was missing some. Hey, Tammy, I'm glad you're in chat. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Would you recommend low-fat yogurt or full-fat? Good question, Kaz. So I would recommend somewhere in between. With my clients, I don't really recommend like no-fat yogurt. Over the years, you've kind of seen that low-fat kind of fad come into style. They had like the margarines and skim milk and all that type of stuff. I would go with sort of like a 2%. It's the same thing with like a cottage cheese and stuff like that. The only reason why is you're going to get a lot of dairy sugars. So if it was milk, you get a lot of milk sugars with it. Those milk sugars can lead to some inflammation as well. I always found myself, if I was eating cottage cheese and it was like the skim cottage cheese, so 0% or even 1%, I would react to it just a little bit. Again, this is just a recommendation of someone who has a passion for nutrition and who's done quite a bit of research on it. I would sort of recommend the middle ground. And a lot of people do well with full fat. I'll be honest, if you compare margarine, which is very hard for our bodies to break down, it's almost just sitting in our bodies, compared to the full fat butter. People break down that butter like much easier than margarine. Margarine is kind of just like the hydrogenated oil that just sort of sits into our body and it's very hard for our body to break down. Again, can cause inflammation right from there. Yes, Deborah, a probiotic supplement. So there's a ton of probiotic supplements, and then these supplements have billions of active bacterial cultures in them. So I take one, not every day. Again, I'll be honest, I don't take it every day. If you're eating healthy and you're taking it often enough, you don't necessarily have to eat it, and you're not having digestion problems, then you don't necessarily have to take it every day. I certainly don't. They can be a little bit expensive. I think if you're eating, like your high probiotic foods, then you certainly don't have to be taking it every day. Another high probiotic food would be like cabbage and things like that. We talked about sauerkraut. Cabbage is another good one. So yeah, there's some supplements you might want to look into, but I think if you're eating just the high probiotic foods, like we mentioned before, I think you're doing a good job there. You're getting tons of probiotics in that. We don't need to overdo it. Does the best probiotics come in the refrigerator section, like the pill form? Yes. Okay, that's a great question, Tammy. So with the probiotic supplements, yes, you will be having them in the refrigerator. So you're 100% right, and they would be in pill form. So you got to kind of keep them in the refrigerator to make sure you're keeping those. It's literally active bacteria in there, so you got to keep them refrigerated to kind of keep them alive, to be honest. But yes, pill form is usually how they come. I haven't seen it any other way, to be honest. It wouldn't really be oils or anything like that, or scoop in. It's usually pill form, but every probiotic that I've seen and every probiotic that I've taken, you would have to refrigerate and it would be in pill form, Tammy. So yes. What about nutmeg in very low dosage? Good for antifungal? I believe so. Nutmeg could be deadly if used incorrectly. I'm not 100% sure about. I think anything, if you're in like overdoing it, could have tons of adverse effects. But inflammation with nutmeg, nutmeg is very similar to cinnamon. And the thing about nutmeg, it's very underrated just because of the anti-inflammatory compounds that it actually has. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. There's actually too many for me to even try to remember. And they have some funny names, but they're definitely rich in anti-inflammatory compounds in and of themselves, not just antioxidants or micronutrients and things like that. So nutmeg is definitely good for inflammation. Antifungal, I'm not 100% sure on the antifungal benefits of nutmeg. Off the top of my head, I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe that it does. I believe it's kind of very similar to, like I said, cinnamon. Think cinnamon, think black pepper, maybe even cumin a little bit, turmeric, those types of stuff. I think turmeric would be thrown into there. So it would sort of have some antifungal activity in there as well. But again, I haven't heard anything about it being deadly or anything about that used incorrectly. So clearly be careful if you are using it. But it does have antifungal and it does have anti-inflammatory benefits to it, D-Will. I can't remember the anti-inflammatory compounds, but they are definitely unique and they are potent. And you do see it kind of show up in antifungal lists as well. But again, moderation seems to be the key. Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure, Kaz. Thank you so much for your questions. Haha, same, Tammy. I'm kind of watching the snow melt as well. We're finally getting some warmer weather up here, which is great. I'm ready for spring, let me tell you. Does tomatoes better cooked or raw? That's an interesting question, Samuel. Either way, both are good. But there have been studies, to be honest, that there are some foods that actually become healthier when they are cooked, and tomatoes are in that list. Other things in that list would be spinach comes to mind, mushrooms, certain types of mushrooms comes to mind. At the end of the day, I think as long as you're getting tomatoes in, whether it's cooked or whether it's raw, I think you're doing just fine getting the tomatoes in. But I have read studies, and I think I've even done a video on this, foods that are healthier when cooked. This would be a long time ago. I still remember that video because I remember making the thumbnail for it. It's kind of funny that I remember that off the top of my head after all of these thousands of videos. But tomatoes were on the list, like spinach was on the list, broccoli might have even been on the list as well. To say, is it better? Maybe slightly better, but I think whether it's cooked or raw, I think you're doing just fine getting those tomatoes in, Samuel. But I'm just kind of relaying the information that I've read kind of in the science. It does appear that it might be slightly better when they are cooked. But again, raw or cooked, both are good. My pleasure, D-Will, no problem. Always happy to answer. Moises, what got you interested in health and foods? All right, that's an awesome question. I've been interested in it for, I would say easily over a decade, probably 15 years at this point. And I started as a teenager, and I got really into it as someone who grew up playing sports and someone who was really interested in weight training, to be honest with you. And then from there, it just stemmed later on down the road, working with clients in that type of capacity. And then health and wellness and health and foods plays such a big and important role in overall health, whether it be in trying to lose weight, trying to feel better, things like that. So, man, I think it's almost like 17 years. As a teenager, I was interested in this stuff, and I was always trying to get an edge health-wise based on foods, because there wasn't as much information out there. So, I kind of had to do all the digging myself. And I remember reading a book. It's funny you asked this. I remember reading a book. I was just having this conversation with one of my clients. I read a book, it was a very simple book, easy read. I probably read it 100 times. It was called I can't even remember the title, but it was something like From Couch Potato to Fit or something like that. And it had a very, very good kind of simplified diet section. With a bunch of different foods in there as well. And you could get a little bit of everything. So there were spices, carbohydrates, proteins, micronutrients, phytonutrients. And it was really well broken down. And ever since reading that book, when I was probably like in my teen years, really turned me on to health. And I pretty much became obsessed with food and health ever since then. Health big time. I've been in the health industry for years right now. And foods is just a part of that. So just as long with food. So great question. Thank you for asking. It's been a long time when I think I've been making videos, and we've been making videos for 8+ years now. 8+ years, and they've changed dramatically over the years. And the way that they are right now, I like the setup. I think I might even start doing more gardening type videos, and I might even want to get into some more cooking type videos to show you guys some different recipes, because there has been questions on recipes and things like that. I think that would be very, very helpful for the viewer. So thank you for the question, Moises, and that's what got me into it, and that's what's kept me into it this entire time. Scrambled eggs with fresh cut tomatoes are so delicious together. I agree, Deborah. I really like I just started throwing fresh cut tomatoes into my stir fry. It's funny you mentioned that. Just this week I started doing that. So I really like fresh cut tomatoes. I think it adds a great flavor, but it also adds a ton of great nutrients to it as well. Scrambled eggs are great. I've told you guys the benefits of scrambled eggs, using the whole egg, getting those nutrients from the whole egg, because remember, the nutrients are actually found in the yolk of the egg. So making sure that you're getting the whole egg, just as opposed to just the egg whites. You see the egg whites right now. There's a big fad on just the egg whites because there was no fat in it. It was only protein. So when like the Atkins diet came out and the low carb kind of craze came out, you saw a huge thing, like a huge explosion in people trying to cut out carbs and stuff like that. So before, you would never find egg whites, but after that, egg whites were available almost anywhere, like cartons of egg whites. You'd have to order them online before, to be honest with you. With all these combined knowledge, a cookbook should be made. Are you talking about myself creating a cookbook, D. Will? Because if you are, I've definitely thought about it. Sort of an online book that's kind of easily accessible and things like that. It can be a cookbook. It can be sort of like a breakdown of different healthy foods and things like that. Definitely something that's come across my mind for sure. Yeah, it's great, Deborah. It's very tasty, and lots of different veggies in it. I love stir fries. You can throw just about anything in it. I throw broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, tomatoes. Man, I'm missing stuff right now, but yeah, you can mushrooms, just off the top of my head, all that different stuff. But thanks, D. Will. I appreciate that. If that's something you guys would be interested in, I would take the time and put in some good dedicated time to do that, because like I said, it's my mission to try to get as much good information out there as possible. So I appreciate that comment, D. Will. 8 years, yes. It's hard to believe it's been 8 years, actually, Tammy. Um, it's gone by fast. I will say that. Um, Sometimes I can't believe it, but yeah, it's been a really long time um, that we've been making these videos and just researching, and it's every day, right? Because right now I'm trying to come out with videos every single day, so it's pretty much every day I have my nose in a book, or I'm looking at articles or research stuff, things like that. So yeah, it's been definitely quite the journey, but I love it. How can I use cardamom, please? Okay, cardamom, excellent. That's so funny. Cardamom was almost a video that I made today, Ron. Cardamom tea, but I think I've done it before. So one of the easiest ways is just cardamom tea. That jumps out at me right off the bat, because then you know exactly how much cardamom that you're actually getting, and you can kind of regulate, because you don't need to overdo it. Again, just like I've said so much on cinnamon and turmeric and all that different stuff, cardamom, you don't have to overdo it. But there's a ton of recipes. I almost can't even, like, you could add it to smoothies. I wouldn't maybe recommend that. It kind of has a different taste, but you can add it to smoothies. Heck, I've added a ton of different stuff to smoothies. But there are so many recipes out there. I think the best one and the easiest one is just making cardamom tea. You can find a recipe on that. I might even have a video on that, Ron. Just search cardamom on the channel. I think you would find a tea video, or even cardamom water or something like that. You would find a video quite easily on the tea. But the tea seems to be the easiest way to get it. But then I know that there's tons of recipes that use it. That use that. So I think there's tons of ways that you can add that to your diet. Sorry, I can't name the recipes off the top of my head, but I know it's used in stir fries. I know it might even be used in curries and things like that. There's just so much out there. You said gardening. What vegetables, fruits do you grow? Oh, good question, Mystical. So, oh man, the past summer I grew a little bit of everything, from tomatoes, green beans, peppers, strawberries, hot peppers, lettuce, bunch of different herbs. Geez, the list goes on and on. Kale I grew this year. So yeah, I've done quite a bit, and I picked up the green thumb just a little bit actually this year. So I would love to do more and more on that. I think it's great. I had a really good experience this year. We were getting tomatoes for so long. It's unbelievable. I think if you're going to start with gardening, tomatoes would be one of the easiest ones. I would really like to grow my own ginger, to be honest with you. I think that would be really fun, growing my own kind of herbs, more and more of those. But I've grown oregano before. Geez, is there any more? Those are the ones off the top of my head that I can remember, but there was quite a few last year. Lupus should avoid garlic and tomatoes. Huh, that's interesting, Yvonne. I haven't read too much on that, but it might make some sense when you think about it. But again, I think anything tied with like a medical condition, again, that I would feel more comfortable with you asking a medical practitioner, because there might even be some other foods that you would want to kind of avoid with lupus and things like that. So garlic and tomatoes, right, might be two of them. I can't say off the top of my head for sure though if you should or not. So because I can't say that, I can't really go too in depth with it. I apologize. But yeah, definitely ask a medical practitioner, especially with lupus and things like that. I don't want to give bad information or faulty information or anything like that. Yeah, absolutely, D-Will. So I hope that helps, Yvonne, all right? I wish I could go more in depth into it, but again, without a medical background, I just don't feel 100% comfortable giving kind of feedback on certain types of conditions, sort of like that. So maybe ask your medical practitioner, but thank you so much for the question. Yeah, exactly, D. Will. Take ideas from the discussion. You know what? I've written so much, so many scripts over the years too. I have a ton of information. It's almost like I've backed it all up. I have like a whole book, maybe a book of just information on food information, different types of spices, carbs, green leafy vegetables, a little bit of everything, to be honest. I think that's the good thing about the channel and that I love is we touch a little bit on everything. Like it's not just fruits or it's not just on diabetes. It's fruits that are going to help diabetes. It's every different type of fruit. Foods that can help diabetes, fruits that can help with heart, things like that. Oh, that's great, Ron. So you're actually having cardamom tea right now? Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, my friend. I think that's the best way to do it. That way, you know, like I said, you can regulate how much you're getting in. I think it tastes just fine. And then, you know, I always say this, but, you know, if you do have a little bit of trouble with the taste, throw like a teaspoon of organic honey in there. You don't have to. But again, you can get the added benefits from it. Sometimes, you know, even cardamom with green tea is a nice mixture, and you get some nice health benefits from the green tea as well. And we just hit 50 likes. Man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all those likes. You guys really are crushing it today. I appreciate it so much. It's hard to believe we've been going an hour and almost 100 minutes, so an hour and 40 right now. That is amazing. As you guys can tell, I love these chats. They're so much fun for me. After all these years of doing the videos, being able to connect and actually chat one-on-one and in a group with you guys, it's just such a nice feeling. Self-grown tomatoes are delicious. Yes, I was having, that's what kind of got me on more and more on tomatoes, to be honest with you. I had so many over the summer that now it's just literally, I have been eating them every day since September. I think they've been part of the diet that I've made. So if you guys can't tell, I'm pretty strict with my diet, but there is variety, of course. You got to live a little bit. But every day I will have tomato. Thanks for all you do and the great info provided. All right, my pleasure, Deborah. No problem at all. Finish up the errands. That's what Sundays are for. Trust me, I understand. So thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for all the support, guys. Like I said, I appreciate it. You guys have been really showing me some good support, and I do appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. I notice everyone who's in here. I notice the comments. I notice the likes. So I really appreciate it. I know, D-Will. It was funny. I was going to mention it, but I didn't want to jinx it. It's been staying up there. So this makes sense. This is how it should always be. Like I said, that program wasn't even plugged in, and I don't even have it open or anything like that. And I'm actually using different software. So this should be the new normal, guys. Hopefully this picture will stay like that. I think that's nice. Huh, that's interesting, Tammy. Peel them. I think maybe some people are sensitive to the skins. Maybe I'm not 100% sure why they're peeling them, but I've never peeled them, and I've never actually quite heard that too much. But maybe some people might be a little bit sensitive to the skin. Maybe it's a little bit more acidic, things like that. But I've never actually peeled tomatoes, to be honest with you. Now, the one thing with garlic, I have read, and going back to, yeah, D-Will, I appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. But the one thing I will say, even going back to the inflammation with garlic, chopping up garlic and then letting it sit for a couple minutes is a nice way of letting those sulfur compounds kind of even enhance themselves just a little bit, so you can get a little bit more anti-inflammatory benefits if you do chop up garlic. From what I've read, I don't think you can go wrong. Just eat your garlic. You're going to get the benefits of it anyway, but apparently chopping it up, all right, is going to help those sulfur compounds and allicin a little bit. All right, so even more inflammation fighting abilities there. Is there any more questions, guys? I think we're gonna end the stream here pretty quick. Is there anything that's on anyone's mind just before we finish off? Again, I do appreciate everyone who's in here. You guys crushed it today. Tons of people in here, tons of great questions, tons of thumbs up. I can't believe it. 50 already. But again, like I said, we're going to be doing this. The lectins. Yeah, I have heard that. I have actually heard that now that you say that, the lectins and stuff like that, Tammy. It's so funny when you said that, my first thought went to Italy. I don't know why, but it went to Italy. That's really interesting. So yeah, the lectins, you know, maybe some people might be a little bit more sensitive to those. So, but yeah, I've never myself actually peeled them. I just cut them and will eat them like that, just kind of normally. But yeah, you guys are awesome. I have to thank each and every one of you. Thank you so much for coming into chat today. Like, we're still at almost 30 people in chat here. I hate to end it, but we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. I think my voice might be gone if I don't stop, and I have clients all day tomorrow. So we'll end it here, guys. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Again, very much appreciated that all of you guys are coming into the streams. Very much appreciate you guys are enjoying the videos. And again, it's going to be daily videos, and it's going to be bi-weekly streams. So we'll do 2 streams at least right now as it stands. The streams are going to be bi-weekly, usually on like a Wednesday and a Sunday. I think the Sundays are a good day for them. People have the Sunday off. The Wednesday ones are a little bit tougher, I know, because people are at work. Maybe later on down the road they'll probably be maybe more so at night. I don't know, maybe more so in the morning. It'll just depend. But the Sunday ones will always be in and around this time. I think this is the best time for people to actually get in here. So yeah, they're going to keep going, guys, and the daily videos are going to keep going as well. And my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for the nice comments, and I appreciate every one of you coming in here and again showing your support. I hope you enjoy your day, guys. Tammy, D-Will, Marilyn, Robin, thank you so much. Everyone else who was in here, sorry I can't scroll up right now, that's all the names that I see. Thank you so much. Ron, awesome, thank you so much for your questions. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. So thank you. I'll probably be back sometime in the middle of the week. And then again, we'll do our Sunday stream next weekend. So thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the videos. I got a couple interesting videos coming up this week, so enjoy those. I think today's video you guys might enjoy as well. So I put some extra work into this one. That's why I was a little late for stream, but I think you guys might like that. So Mystical, thank you so much for coming in here and asking your questions and all the feedback and all the comments, and everyone else, all the lurkers, everyone who's in here right now. There's 33 of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Even if you don't ask a question or anything like that, of course I appreciate you guys coming in, and even everyone who thumbed up the video. So let's end it there, guys. Enjoy the videos for this week. It's going to be daily videos. Nothing's going to change there, and then we'll just keep going from there, guys. But thank you, Marilyn, you as well. Have a blessed day. Everyone stay safe. Everyone stay healthy. And I will see you guys probably on Wednesday. Again, I will leave. I'll make sure that I have a notification on so you guys know when the stream's going to be. So thanks again, guys. I will see you in the middle of the week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you then. Bye now.